unmute and ask straight away. Raise your hand, put it on the chat. If you want to ask privately, you could send it directly to Brother Roshan on his private chat or to me, and it will be considered anonymous or private. Yeah. Okay, the time is open now. Go ahead. Anyone?
Okay, as the questions come, let me give you some advice with reference to preparation for exams and all of that. Uh, who you study with also does matter. Okay, my sincere advice to you is to avoid boys and girls who are not like-minded, who are not focused, who don't have the same passion towards study. So when you associate with such kind of boys and girls and you hang around with them, sooner or later that will rub off onto you. Okay, so it is necessary that you find the right tribe, find your tribe of like-minded individuals. When you associate yourself with like-minded individuals, you will become far better than what you are. So let's say you are keen on excelling at English language. Find a group find a group of individuals who happen to be, focused on the same objective. If you want to improve your spoken English and you hang around with people who speak some other language except English and who have uh, a strong aversion for English, trust me, your English is not going to really improve. And they will weigh you down. So, who you associate yourself with is of utmost importance. Don't be swayed. Don't be tempted by the wrong company. They will only bring about your ruin. So, avoid the wrong company. If there is somebody who is not or who does not share your passion with reference to study, learning, etc., it is best to avoid him or her. Hi, hello, bye. That's about it. Don't waste your time hanging around. Uh, yes, any questions?
Yeah, there is a question on the chat. When do you sleep if you get up at 4:30 a.m. every day?
Oh, I now for many, many years now, I sleep at 10 p.m. and I wake up at 4:30 a.m. It does not matter whether it's a Sunday, a public holiday, or a working day. 4:30 a.m. I'm up. Of course, exceptions do exist. Recently, there was one of my clients who had an interview, and I had to sit with him and train him till about 12 in the night. So these kind of exceptions exist once in a while. Somebody else invited me to do a Zoom session, and I was there with them till 10:30, 11 in the night. So these are exceptional cases. But otherwise, 10 p.m. is when I sleep, 4:30 a.m. is when I wake up. 4:30, I go freshen up. 5 a.m., I am ready. I'm there sitting and studying, writing, or listening to some lecture.
Right. Thank you. Any other question? Please unmute and ask. This is an open time, a great opportunity for you to ask your doubts for yourself or your children or anybody. Yeah. How to build good concentration? How to
Okay,
build it?
how to build a good concentration? Firstly, avoid all unnecessary distractions. Okay, what are the unnecessary distractions? Number one, let's look at external environment. I have personally visited the rooms of some of my students, and I stepped into absolutely shabby, utterly shabby rooms. You know, absolutely shabby. Uh, Clothes thrown here, books strewn there, untidy room. Trust me, you are not going to be in the best frame of your mind when you sit in that kind of cluttered room and try and study. So the first thing is to have a well organized room, free of clutter, where all the things are very well organized. Okay? Have an uncluttered room. That is number one. So sit in the right environment. Number one. Number two, avoid unnecessary distractions. Now, and this is true even for people like me. It's not only for you. Even for people like me, there are so many distractions. Your phone, for example. You have your phone, you sit down with your book, and then you tell yourself, okay, I'll just chat with this friend for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, or I'll just watch one shot, or I'll just watch some videos for 5 minutes, and then I'll get back. You look at one shot, and these apps are built in such a way that they retain you onto the platform for a longer span. So even before you realize, you've already spent almost half an hour to 40 minutes browsing through some aimless videos. So uh, you are easily distracted by all of these things. So identify who or what is distracting you. Avoid the distraction. If it is a friend, you can always tell them that, I'm unavailable from so and so time to so and so time. Or better still, let's catch up from so and so time to so and so time. You obviously have to make time for friends, for family. Okay. At the end of the day, we at our core are all social beings. We need relationships. We need friends. We need love. That's fine. But ensure that it is well organized, that you are well organized. Okay. So avoid distractions. Identify the distracting factor. If it is your tab, if it is your mobile phone, hand it over to your mom or your dad and say, Daddy, this is my, my device. Please keep it with you, and you know, I will take it from you from such and such time. So that's the second. The third, uh, again, when you sit and study all alone, there is greater scope for temptation and swaying of concentration. Two are better than one. Iron sharpens iron. Got it? So the other thing that you could do is to find a friend, a cousin, or somebody else who's got similar interests. And if he's if he's your equal, then both of you can sit and study together on a particular subject, and then start questioning, start asking each other questions. In case he's not, at least let him or her be there. So you are at least accountable. You are now not as subject to temptation as you are as you are, otherwise. Okay. So these are some
Okay.
of the things that
Yeah.
you could do to improve your concentration levels.
Right. When you were studying from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., did you take breaks in between?
Oh yeah, sometimes definitely yes, yes. See, there are physiological factors that you have to consider. For instance, I'm sure most of you all will relate to this. Your levels of concentration, your levels of energy tend to drop drastically immediately after lunch. Very often, you find boys and girls dozing off in the classroom immediately after lunch. Okay, because there are physiological factors at play. Got it? So, you have to ensure that there are breaks that you take at regular intervals of time. Because as you this again, varies from individual to individual. Now, I didn't have a problem sitting at length and reading certain books, but then there were other subjects which would increase my levels of stress very soon, and I had to take a break. Got it? So take short breaks, very short breaks. Number one. Number two, also ensure that you have a balanced diet. Okay, have a balanced diet, be hydrated, because when you are not hydrated well, the potassium levels in your body will start dropping when you are dehydrated. And then you won't be able to focus. You will not be able to concentrate. Your mind will start swaying. All of these things happen. So ensure that you are well hydrated. Okay. Ensure that you have good, healthy meals. Inculcate fresh fruit, nuts, and dry fruit into your diet. Have green leafy vegetables. Okay, have healthy foods. Avoid all the junk food. Okay, that will again, have an adverse effect on you. So ensure that you have a healthy diet, you have timely meals, that you're well hydrated, that you're drinking water from time to time. So these are, you have to take care of the physiological factors as well, because these are fueling factors.
Okay. Are almonds, banana, and other food intake do they increase one's memory and concentration?
Uh, Almonds definitely, yes. Almonds and walnuts also. Almonds and walnuts. But I would simply put it this way: have healthy food, have a balanced diet, and let them do their own work. Okay. So if you're well rested, you have eaten very well, you don't actually have to worry about the rest.
How do you test yourself that you still know and remember what you have studied and will be able to reproduce it in the paper?
By taking tests on a regular basis. What I used to do was this: every Sunday, I would give myself a test. Okay. Again, you can look up some past test papers. I would, uh, let's say, for example, I studied coordinate geometry this week. So on Sunday, pick some past, I would pick some test papers book, the question bank, and pick all the questions of all these papers related questions related only to coordinate geometry, and I would answer all those questions related to coordinate geometry. So in so doing, I was able to assess how good I was at that particular subject and how much of it I had actually learned.
Right. How to manage time between your physical activities and your courses that we are learning. Basically, I think it's studies. How to manage the time between physical activities and studies. I hope that question is correct. How to balance your time in the right way between physical activities and your studies. I hope that's the correct question, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, have a fixed time. Once you have a fixed time, then you don't actually have to worry about the rest. For instance, uh, you know, I have this habit. I go for a swim from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. So I know for a fact that 6 to 7, on I'm talking about now, I'm not talking about back then. Okay, back then 5 to 7 was there and all of that. But, 6 to 7 in the evening or whatever, you have a fixed time for swimming, or you have a fixed time for volleyball, or you have a fixed time for basketball, or any other physical activity. Have a fixed time for that, activity. So when you have a fixed time, you know that from so and so time to so and so time I'm studying, and from so and so time to so and so time I'm, playing. So that's exactly what I meant when I spoke about building habits. So when you build these habits, it will become part of your lifestyle.
Thank you. Any other question? Please unmute and ask, or put it on the chat. You are also have the option of ask the question directly, and it will be considered anonymous. Yeah. Did you use a timer or alarm to wake up or keep a mark of your study times? Did you have a to-do list for the day?
In the earlier days, I did need the help of an alarm to wake up. But as I said, once that habit got deeply rooted, I don't have not used an alarm. I have not used an alarm in years now, in years. So if I'm not sleep deprived, that is, if I've slept late, if I did not sleep at 10 p.m. and I end up sleeping at 11:30, 12, then of course I wake up slightly late. Late for me is 5:30. That is late. Okay, now I told you just a few days ago I was with one of my clients till 12 in the night, so I woke up at 6 o'clock the next morning. Those are exceptions, but otherwise, if I've slept at 10, then 4:30 I'm up. So yes, in the initial days, I needed the assistance of an alarm, but once that got rooted into me, I never needed an alarm. Then there's something else related to this that I would like to share with you all. Many students, when I make this suggestion, I have many students who come to me and tell me, sir, but I somehow got used to studying late in the night, so I find it very difficult to wake up the next morning. Okay, I find it difficult, and even when I wake up, I'm not well rested. I feel so tired because my body is not well rested. Now, this is my advice. Even if you are not well rested, you obviously will not be well rested. You will definitely be sleep deprived. Still, wake up. Now, you have to break this bad habit. Okay. How do you do that? You forcibly wake up. You are not well rested. You have not had adequate sleep. You are sleep deprived. You keep yourself active now throughout the day. Don't sleep during the day. Don't sleep in the afternoons. Don't have a siesta. When you do this, in the night, you will fall asleep just like that because your body is already exhausted. And then again the next morning, ensure you wake up early. So over a period of time, your body will have readjusted. Your biological clock will have readjusted. Got it? So it's all about setting your biological clock in the right mode.
I think there was a connecting question. Did you have a to-do list for that day? I mean, for
Yeah,
the
I
day.
told you that. I discussed
You
that
already had.
already.
Okay.
I was already on a to-do list. It was not just for
Okay.
that day. I
Uh,
already had a to-do list because I told myself, remember, I spoke about it. I said 300 pages, 30 days, so 10 pages a
okay.
day. Then I
Correct.
spoke
Correct.
about 10 month, those
Right.
10 topics, 5 months, or two topics a
Okay.
month. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had a schedule out.
All right. Okay. I missed that. Okay. If the first paper didn't go so well and a student feels agitated about it, how to make him or her calm and get him to focus on the next paper?
Bygones are bygones. There's no point crying over spilled milk. Okay. So, this is the problem with many students. They are so, uh, you know, fettered to the past, and they're apprehensive about the future, and they don't actually live in the present.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you've spoiled the paper, the only thing that you can do is retake the exam, presuming that you're going to be failing in the subject. If you're going to pass with mediocre marks, well, so be it. Okay, I don't know if you have the possibility of taking a betterment exam. If there is, well and good. Otherwise, focus on what is to come.
Uh, I think there's a question, but I'm asking the person to, can you make your question clear, please? If you can please retype that question little longer, it will be better. But it says something like everyday subject related read, otherwise competitive paper. How to manage time?
I
I don't
didn't
know about
quite
that. Yeah,
understand the
yeah. Okay,
question.
please retype that question,
So,
make it longer and make it clearer so we can
or
at least.
he can just unmute himself and speak.
Yeah, unmute and speak also. Yeah, go ahead, please. If you want to unmute, please unmute and speak. Okay, one of the things we I've seen, Brother Roshan, is where teenagers, especially, there are some who lack motivation. They are not at all interested, or 9, 10 standard, and parents are worried. This fellow is not interested. He's not studying only. What to do? What to do? And so there's this pressure and all that. So what do you do in that situation? What does should a parent do?
The parent should actually help the student figure out why he or she is doing what he or she has to be doing.
Hmm.
Okay. So once you help somebody figure out why, the motivation will come about automatically.
Okay.
Now, the tragedy with many students is that they feel all of this is a burden which is thrust upon them. So they are actually studying or learning these things not out of personal interest,
Yeah.
but because they find it obligatory. And they're put in a corner, which is basically a place of no escape. So they feel burdened, they feel encumbered, they feel all of this is being thrust upon them. Now, make the journey enjoyable for these students. It could be in terms of uh, delivering that subject in a language that he understands. With. I am talking about the learning style. Okay. Or it could
Uh,
be helping him gain conceptual clarity. It could be to do with helping him figure out why. It could be with
one thing, sir.
just a
Yeah,
second, just a second.
Madhu, please wait. Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
It could also be with reference to rewards. You finish this and then you'll be rewarded with so and so or such and such. I still remember when I was in my eighth standard, uh, I wanted to learn how to swim. So my mom gave me this task. She said, "Okay, your exams are coming up. You have to get such and such grade, and if you get such and such grade, I will have you enrolled in a swimming pool, and then you can learn how to swim." So I knew that there was a reward, and that reward was of utmost importance to me. It was more important than the exam itself. Okay. So to get that reward, I put in a lot of study. So there are different things. Now, of course, after having become mature, when I look at the when I look at that particular incident, I understand how important it was for me to have cleared that exam. Back then, at that level of or due to lack of maturity, I didn't actually understand all of these things back then as I do so now. So that's about it. So you can talk to the talk to your son or daughter, find out why it is that he is not actually interested, and help him somehow figure out why he should learn, why he should study. Once you help him figure out why he should learn or study, and he's able to figure that out for himself or herself, the requisite motivation will come about almost automatically.
Thank you.
Yes, Madhu,
Yes, Madhu,
please go
please
ahead.
unmute and speak.
Sir, one thing I can say, I can share one thing. Uh, I can every day read the subject related subject. Otherwise, but competitive prepare how to manage time, and also I can entrance exams or otherwise subject reading. Next to competitive, how to manage read the everyday time.
Oh, preparing for competitive exam is talking.
Yes, yes.
Are you, Madhu? Are you a
Otherwise,
student?
subject related the time how to time competitive or subject our subject read.
If it's a competitive exam, you'll have to, firstly, let me get some basics here. Let me get some information. Are you a working professional or are you a student?
Madhu,
Sir, I have student UG
Sorry, what?
you are working or are you are full student, full time?
student only
Student.
student.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you are a student and you are also preparing for competitive exams, correct?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay. It's all about allocating. It was the same with me also. I was studying, I was doing my bachelor's in electronics, and I was also preparing for CAT, the Common Admission Test. Okay,
Yes, yes.
for admission to IIMs. So uh, I used to have the evenings cordoned off only for CAT. Okay, and the rest of the day for electronics, etc. So during the mornings and afternoons, I would prepare for my my regular subjects, electronics, etc. And in the evenings, I used to study for my CAT. So it's all about allocations. Number one, allocation of time. Number one. Number two, I again addressed this partly. I said, don't wait till the 11th hour. Start preparing from day one itself. So from day one, when you study, you will have a lot of time at your disposal. Got it? So if you are able
Yes,
to
sir.
put in study on if you're able to put in hours of study on a daily basis over the entire period of time, after having allocated periods of time for each of these areas, you should obviously be able to, achieve your
Uh,
goal.
okay. Understand. I can understand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome. What motivates or motivated you to study philosophy further? My PhD is in that. Uh, my PhD is in applied philosophy, so obviously it is related to that. But the other reason why I studied philosophy is that I'm drawn towards logic, towards reasoning, towards analysis, etc. Uh, critical thinking. The sessions that I do on critical thinking, etc., are all connected to logic. They stem from logic.
How to prepare timetable?
How to prepare a timetable? Okay, there are two ways in which you could do this. One is to uh, you know have fixed times, which is what most people do. 7 to 8 I will do this, 8 to 9 I will study that, 9 to 10 it's fine. But suddenly what happens is, for example, let me share this with you. I would give myself this timetable. I'd say, okay, today 5 to 6 I will study, or I will do this subject. I will study this. And just at about 5 o'clock, the doorbell rings. I open the door, and it's a friend of mine, or it's a cousin, okay, who just dropped in and said, "Hey, I want just came to spend some time with you." Now, I can't ask him to leave. Okay, I can't say, okay, now 5 to 6 I have to study, so you please leave. It doesn't happen that way. So I had to accommodate that as well. Yeah. So rather than have a 5 to 6 timetable, what I did was I told myself 1 hour for this, 2 hours for that, 3 hours for this. So in that 24 hours, okay, I would ensure that 1 hour was catered to that particular subject. Usually it is 5 to 6, but if I had somebody else showing up or whatever, I could finish with this. Number one. Number two, again, the benefit of waking up early. When I wake up at 4:30, I hardly have anyone coming knocking at my door at 4:30 in the morning. Nobody comes visiting me at 4:30 in the morning. It is far more likely for someone to come and visit me in the evenings than it is for someone to come and visit me at 4:30, 5, or even 5:30 in the morning. So this is the other advantage, of waking up early. So by the time the world is up, you have already finished with most of your work. I still remember distinctly, 4:30 I was up. I would study from 5 to 7. I used to have this constant study. And most of my classmates would wake up at 8:30, 8:40, 8 o'clock, and then rush to college by 9:30. So by the time they woke up, I'd already finished my study for that a day. So that's the other advantage of
Right.
waking up early.
Yeah. Any other question? Unmute and ask or put it in the chat quickly. We are about to close in a few minutes. With Roshan, there is a lot of pressure on students to score very high because of the cutthroat competition. But parents often lock them in the house in terms of make them study. There are tuition classes, school homework, then tuition homework, and all of that. So there's hardly any time for self study. So that's
Very
there.
sad. I,
Yeah,
for one, very strongly disapprove of that. Very, very sad. It's very sad that this is happening with a lot of school children. In fact, recently I happened to have a meeting with a school principal. My meeting with him was scheduled at 7:30. I went there at 7:15, and then I saw little children in school uniform sitting with the tube lights on. So I thought there were some extra classes. And when I asked him about the extra classes, he said, no, school is running, and our school timings are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Okay, Sunday mornings there is a test, lunch followed by paper discussion. And when I asked them about their childhood, he said, "Sir, life is a race. Life is not a race. Life is supposed to be enjoyed thoroughly. When you organize yourself, you don't actually have to deprive yourself of the other wonderful things that life has to offer."
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't approve of locking up children, using them like prisoners, depriving them of all fun, etc. That is not
Correct.
something that I approve of.
So would you say then that socializing for kids to meet other kids, playing, and even physical fitness of a kid, how important that is for their overall personality and even their concentration? Any comment on that?
Very important, because see, at the end of the day, it is not just excellence in the subject that is being aimed at. It is the overall excellence. For example, I know a lot of boys who are exceptionally good at the subject, but they cannot for nuts stand and deliver. They can't, stand and deliver a lecture. They cannot communicate. They cannot make a presentation. So, what good is that knowledge if it is not being communicated, if it is not being put to use? So, it is
Correct.
holistic development that is required.
Right.
Okay. Your social skills have to be developed, your soft skills have to be developed, your intellectual skills obviously have to be developed, your technical skills have to be developed. Okay. And jaan hai to jahan hai. So, you obviously have to be
Yeah.
fit physically.
Correct. Correct. That's true. Yeah. How do you choose a stream that you are passionate about?
Uh, Firstly, understand that every field has its own offerings. Okay. Very sadly, many students, choose certain streams not based on their personal interest, rather on the interests of their parents. For
Hmm.
example, I know a boy who got into engineering. Uh, Not that he was interested in engineering, rather that his father said, I always wanted to be an engineer. I could not be. So now you go and fulfill my dream. Okay. That is not
The
the right
father's dream
approach
is the
at all.
child's nightmare. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that poor boy was actually very interested in business management, but he was put into engineering. So please, if you are a parent, please don't burden your children with your own unfulfilled dreams. Everyone has his or her own calling. Let him or her find what is best for her. You, as a parent, can help him or her navigate through all the chaos and help your children identify what it is that they actually want to achieve. Then you can also take the assistance of a career coach if you are confused with a few options and you are not able to decide. There are a lot of other factors also that should be taken into consideration. If
Uh,
any of you wants to connect with me for any kind of counseling, feel free to do so.
yeah. Uh, on the YouTube channel, you'll find the LinkedIn profile, and you could connect also. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
you
There are
can
some.
connect with me through LinkedIn, or you can drop a comment on my
Yeah.
YouTube channel, and
Right.
we can catch up.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Yeah. Some questions coming. How do I get good with solving application questions in physics and maths, which require deep thinking?
Mathematics, number one, please don't memorize formulae blindly without actually understanding how those formulae came about. Number one. Number two, gain conceptual clarity. Please gain conceptual clarity. Thirdly, practice. Practice well. Okay. Once you see, understand that mathematics is nothing but logic in terms of numbers. Once you understand the underlying logic, the rest will fall in place automatically. And then, of course, practice makes a man perfect. So practice well
Okay. How can I get better at speaking English fluently?
by speaking.
Yeah, I think you commented
By
about
speaking.
finding friends and earlier.
Yeah. See, there are when you talk about development of language or language enhancement, there are basically four skills. There is reading, there is writing, there is listening, and there is speaking. Okay. Uh, Many people. Let me share this one incident, and I'm sure you'd be able to relate to this. I was taking a walk on the beach road, and there was this you know institute that was advertising their spoken English course. So they were just handing out brochures, and they handed out a brochure to me, and the gentleman said, "आप आके enroll हो जाए, हम आपको अंग्रेजी सिखा देंगे. We'll teach you how to speak English fluently." So I just asked him how they teach English, and he said, in the first week we will teach you grammar, and then we'll teach you vocabulary, and then the third week you will start speaking fluently. That is not how it works out. Now, almost everyone here, for example, I'm sure there are speaking people, there are Telugu speaking people. How did you learn your own language? Did your dad or mom carry you when you were a child and say, देखो बेटा ये संज्ञा है, वो सर्वनाम है, ये क्रिया है, वो क्रिया विशेषण है. By getting to learn all of that, you don't become any uh, more fluent in the language than what you were earlier. So grammar, memorizing grammar or learning or understanding grammar is not going to help you gain fluency. It will only help you gain technical understanding of the language. So please start speaking. When you talk about language, there are basically two broad aspects: the spoken mode and the written mode. In the written mode, we use words, whereas in the spoken mode, we don't use words, we use sounds. So there are many sounds that each of these languages has. The English language has 44 sounds. If you are able to pronounce these 44 sounds, you will be able to pronounce words correctly. So, firstly, you will have to get acclimatized to these sounds of that particular language. There are many sounds of of one language which don't exist in the other language. So, first learn these sounds, and that comes about by speaking. So, start speaking, and then the rest will fall in place. You muted yourself. You muted yourself.
Yeah, sorry. There was a question earlier in the private chat. I hope that's clear. How to clear backlogs when you have many backlogs?
When you've got many backlogs, again, please get to the uh, crux or the kernel or the bone and gristle of the problem. Why did you flunk in those subjects? Why did you fail? Was it, again, as I said, lack of interest, or was it lack of understanding, or was it lack of practice? Okay, get to the crux of the matter. You have to address the problem. Unless you address the problem, there's no point, repeating it, because you will end up doing the same thing again. So doing the same thing time and again is not going to yield a different result. So you'll have to do something differently now. Okay. And that difference can come about in terms of understanding, in terms of getting conceptual clarity, in terms of practice, in terms of interest, etc.
Correct. How do how to get the most out of reading any text, because I seem to not remember what I'd read earlier after reading a few pages.
Reading is like any other habit. The problem with many people who study is that they read only for the sake of their examination. Number one. Number two, they read only before their examination. Now, inculcate reading, make reading a habit. So, read every day. When you read every day, what actually happens is that you familiarize yourself with reading. So, when you familiarize yourself with reading, it becomes, relatively far easier than what it would be otherwise. So, when you have not inculcated the habit of reading, and you try and read only for the sake of the examination, understand what is at play here. You are now engaging in something out of need for achieving some particular objective only for a specified period of time. Okay. So it's like this. If I run on a daily basis, I will have put up better performance in a running race than what it would be if I ran only in that race for that race. Got it? So please inculcate the habit of reading. Read daily. Give yourself a specified time for reading. Say, okay, every day you have to spend at least 1 hour reading. Number one. Number two, when you read, Develop this habit of reading as fast as you can. Somehow people have this relaxed attitude when it comes to reading. They read at a slow pace. So when you do that, you will end up building that habit, the habit of reading in a at a relaxed pace. Now, suddenly, if you want to read fast, understand that you're already accustomed to reading very slowly. So you're not going to read very quickly now. And even if you do try and read very quickly, you won't be able to retain what you're reading. So read as fast as you can. In the initial days, when you read very fast, you may retain only 10% of what you've read. You will forget the other 90%. It does not matter. It does not matter. Don't decrease your speed. Continue at the same pace, and you will see marked difference over you know some time. So after 1 month, you will when you read at the same pace, you'll be able to retain, say, 30%. Initially, you were able to. So what actually happens is this: students read very fast. When they read very fast, they're able to read only 10% and they lose out 90%. So they say, hey, owing to the fact that I've missed out on 90%, let me reduce my speed. Don't do that. Keep
Mhm.
reading at that pace, and eventually your comprehension levels will increase.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question? We are about to close quickly. If you have any challenges for studying for yourself or for your children, please go ahead and ask. This is a golden opportunity, and we are already over time, but go ahead and ask if you have any question.
I would very
Yeah.
strongly encourage you all to go to my YouTube channel, watch
Yes.
some of these videos. I put out this content.
Correct.
I'm creating a lot of content on all these topics: personal effectiveness and learning, etc. So you will benefit from the content. You can go there and watch the videos. Ensure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on the content that I create.
Yeah. That's the YouTube link. Okay. Uh, Anyone? Or shall we close now? Okay. Uh, Thank you so much, Brother Roshan. I feel sorry for all the people who missed it. This was so good, so good, so great. How wonderfully, how clearly and how patiently you have explained each and every point and question. This is a gold mine, a reservoir of great resource and encouragement for people. God bless you, and may God bless us all as we continue to search ahead in life. Okay.